make up some wall brackets, and we're going to decorate them up a bit by doing what I like to call writing in metal. We're going to draw a design in the metal, and we're going to do a fish on it. That's what we're going to do. So the first thing we have to do, pictures in there too. First thing we're going to do is heat the metal. Then we're going to put a nice radiance to it on the end. Kind of pointy, but kind of not. Almost a gothic looking sort of point to it. Something you see on a building. That's between the fish's head. We're going to decorate this up and make it look like a fish. We're going to take chisels and punches and write into the metal, punch designs into the metal. And by the changing of the shape and punching the designs in, we'll make the fish. Yesterday we did dragons. Autumn did a dragon and it's in the shop on the table. We can do horses, fish, pineapples, acorns, cats, all sorts of designs. If you can draw it and the drawing is fairly simple, we can forge it out. We can make it into something. First thing we're going to do is heat our metal up to that nice orange color. Remember we talked about that nice orange color. We're going to heat our metal orange. So the first thing I'm going to do, Autumn, is just going to give a nice rounded arch on the end of it. See how I'm just kind of working it like that? Okay. So get yours out and start working. You're working right up here on this end. There you go. On the back. There you go. Go out further to the end. There you go. That's what we're saying. Yeah, sit around. Just like that. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Work it down just a little flatter. This way. There you go. And this is the way the trade was passed. You know, father to son or daughter, and generation to generation, and the next generation learns the trade. It was actually quite secretive at one time. Blacksmiths were thought of almost as magicians because people didn't understand this raw, rusty, ugly material went in. And the buildings were always closed because you needed to have it dark to see the color of the metal, especially with the old wrought iron. That stuff was very, very particular. You had to work it at a welding heat all the time. But they hear all this hammering and the sound of people working. You know, all the noise, and they see these people come out at the end of the day all covered with coal dust and sweat, maybe carrying out a great big sword, all polished and shiny. They didn't understand. So blacksmiths were magicians. So our next step, what I want to do is find some tools. Use that little chisel and our little half-round chisel, wherever our little half-round chisel is. That's a little straight one. Is it over there? You make a lot of tools over the time. If you make, like when we started making the dragons, we use about 6 or 7 different chisels, punches. Some of them you can't buy, you have to make. You know, some of them no one sells commercially. So let's add some character to our fish, right? First thing we're going to do is put a little mouth in there. You can almost see where the mouth would go, right? Okay. So let's put just a little notch. Just like that. And let's add a eye. And let's add a couple gills. Right behind the eye. There we go. 4 of them. How's that? Got it? So a little bit of a fish face we're starting to put in there. He's got a mouth, he's got an eye, he's got a couple gills. We're going to cut a couple little notches to put some fins. We're going to squeeze the metal in. We're going to put some scales on him. He's just started so far, but we're starting to get our little fish face. Hey, you don't need a tiny little mouth. That's good. That's an eyeball. Just add a couple gills. Might have to reheat. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back. Some of it's manipulating the metal, some of it is drawing into the metal. How we're stamping the design in. That's all what you have to figure out. A few years back, I was making a horse, and a woman was sitting out in the crowd. She said, well, what else can you do? I said, well, I don't know. You know, tell me what you're interested in. She said, a cat. I said, let me give you a piece of paper. You draw up the cat, I'll forge it into the metal. And I said, don't go crazy and put all kind of hair and stuff on it, you know. But worked it out, looked at the design, kind of a simple cartoonish style cat that she drew up. And over the next half hour, I forged it into the metal and was able to make a cat. So it's kind of a fun thing to do. Got it? See the marks? A lot of it's not hitting hard. When you're trying to enhance something, put a little bit of a design in there, you just hit light little hits. That's good. Now what we're going to do next is cut just a couple notches. Or we're not going to cut all the way through like we did yesterday. We're just going to push the metal up a little bit in both directions to make like a top fin and a bottom fin, right? Sometimes you use a chisel and you cut all the way through the metal, like when we're doing our dragons, we raise up a big old horn and we cut the mouth open and make a big old gnarly mouth. But in this case, we just want to give the impression of the design, you know? Just like in any kind of art, you have the realist who put in every last little freckle and mole and hair into somebody's body, or you have an impression, an idea. That's the dragon that Autumn made. If you look at that, she made that yesterday. Just to give you an idea now. The cool thing about dragons is nobody really knows what they look like. So it really doesn't matter what you do with a dragon. But people know what horses and fish and cats and pineapples and acorns and all look. So we have to balance that, you know? You have to say, well, I can get away with doing a little bit here, but I can't get away with it there. How do I make this look like a fish? And to do that,
Yeah, that would be really nice.
right now, I'm just going to take a chisel and just kind of cut in a little bit behind the gills to make it look like he has some fin sticking out. And then I have to, so that's all I did there. I just did a couple little cuts to make it stick up higher and down a little bit. Then I'm going to start squeezing the body back in. I'm going to give him scales in here somewhere.
Mommy!
We'll do that with a little punch. Ready for yours? Okay. Blow on it. Flip it over. Blow on it. Isn't that your mouth? Oh yeah, there it is. Good. So just, I use this big. So just a little tiny bit. Yep, just a little tiny bit. Squeeze it like. Just enough to give a little bit of a look like scale, like
Oh, no. It's
there you
like,
go. Yeah, that'll work. now what we're going to do next is heat up back here and squeeze the body in and then flare out for a tail. Okay? I'll show you how. Mine's starting to get warm. I'm going to have to use foam. Get some more heat. Little air. Little bit of cold fire burning. Produces that high heat we need. And the metal moves easily for us. That's what we want. Squeeze the metal in back into the base. Kind of like that. That's going to give me a more of a fish body shape. And then I'm going to this side and just give a little bit of a tail shape to it. You see how I did that? A little bit on this side, squeeze it in, flip it over, go to this side, squeeze it on this side. Right? You're starting to look a little bit more like a fish. We're going to cut some scales in there.
No, it worked a lot better that way. She knows I know it.
So, let's go right in here first. Yeah, hammer down that way. Over, hammer that way. Right in the same spot. Good. Now, up like that. Hammer down this part. There you go. And then angle back. Yeah, like that. Yep. Just like that. That's good. Yeah. So we're starting to get taper here. Hammer a little bit more taper in there. No, up there. Yeah. Yeah. Always on the angle. Let's get some more heat. Yeah, you got that. Let's get more heat. So now, hammer down right here. Just want to keep it fairly straight. Okay, that's good. That's got us nice and straight again, right? That's what we want. So we're working on getting the fish. He's taking more of a shape. Woo! He's taking more of a shape. He's got a face and some gills and a little bit of fins sticking up and down. And now his body's starting to take shape. The next thing we're going to do is heat it up and put some scales in the body. We're going to take a punch, lean it at an angle, and just make a whole bunch of scaly kind of look, and then flare out the tail. And we'll have a couple nice looking fishes. Heard that? So what I want to do next is take this nice size flat punch, and I'm just going to put mine up here. I'll just use your hand right up there. Just use that hammer. I'm just going to go like this. See how I'm leaning it? Yeah. I'm still pushing kind of straight down on it. And by doing that, I can push scales into it. Oh, that's hot. More impressionistic, right? It kind of looks like it has scales though, right? That's what we want. We want those scaly scales. So once again, we've enhanced our fish a little bit more. There's some scales. We have a face. We have some gills. We have a couple fins. And we have some scales. All we'll have to do after this is flare out his tail and make his tail look nice and wide. And then we'll go right pretty looking fish.
All right, I'll make it. You want the open back?
Two different, one of each.
One of these?
All kinds of, yep.
Plank?
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Burn that hand.
I'm going to go 2 by 10.
It happens.
Right, you need to get a push.
Stand with you, be Lillian.
Good. Cool. Give it a couple taps and just flag it a little bit right in there. Good. That's good. Okay. So the last thing we have to do is flare out the tail to make our fish finish. Then we're going to turn it into some kind of a ball bracket. And to flare out that tail, we're going to take, where's that? We're going to take a hammer that has a fairly sharp edge on it. It's almost like a chisel, but not quite. But we keep this hammer special in our toolbox just for this purpose, to hammer in, and it'll give sort of like fins, or sort of like the tail fin of the fish. Just kind of roll my hammer back like this, kind of at an angle like that, right in there. Right? It takes a little trickiness to balance yourself around to get the fins cut in just right. Did you see that? See how it turned into fins?
Yeah.
Okay. Not too shabby for a foraged fish. Turned out pretty cool. Okay. So just so everybody sees, there basically is our finished fish. So what we're going to do next with this is punch a hole just below it and turn it into a hook. But you can see the fish in there. It's all of that writing, designing something, drawing it up, and then figuring out a way to impress that design into the metal. So we're going to punch a hole here, put the extra metal, work this thing, and make it into a hook. Something you can hang on the wall on.
Come on, girls. Hey.
You ready?
Nothing. We're going to go.
Yep. Need to handle back just a little bit in the angle.
That was nice of you to look in there.
And then try and work up straight over top of it. And then we can actually step sides. There you go. And the hammer leans straight into the end. Good. Okay. Come back around this side. Work this side. Pull back around the other side. Yeah. There you go. Turned out pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah.
Hey, there goes that hammerhead. Let's heat it one more time. Let's put some more heat on it one more time. And I need to put a wedge in that hammerhead. Yeah. We're going to use that a little bit more. Let's get a little deeper impression into that. Right? That's it. Flare out that tail. That's nice. just slight hammer back on top with the flat. This way. No, here. Okay? Just to give him a nice flare to his tail. Okay? There we go. That's good. Now let's flat. Let's get him back in shape. There we go. Pass this way. Oh yeah, that was where I was thinking. Good. Yep. Good. So there we go. Another fine fish. They all turn out different. Autumn's is a little bit longer than mine, but it's got different character. A little more rounded nose. I don't know fish. Is that a sardine? I don't know. A whale? Or I don't know. But we have a couple of fish made now. She's probably going to do the same. We're just going to punch a hole down below, cut off the extra metal, make it into a hole. But that's how you make a fish in right there. That's the way you do it. Let's go ahead.